We took another little Halloween detour here in the podcast to celebrate Rod and Holly's birthdays. Because what's more fitting than a haunted hotel, a candlelit ballroom, and a train ride into something we can't quite explain at Halloween time. So sit back, light a candle, and slip into the past with us. And don't worry, we'll get back to our regularly bizarre stories soon enough. The TikTok gang had made plans for months. This year's Halloween trip was going to be bigger than ever, celebrating both Rod and Holly's birthdays with a getaway no one would forget. Everyone met at train stations across the country, luggage dragging behind them. Others already dressed for the occasion, filming clips and laughing as a train wound its way through the autumn mountains of New England, a blur of red and golds outside the windows. Their destination was the Quechee Hotel, a massive historic hotel in New Hampshire, known for its scenic overlook and grand master ballroom, in a place that seemed to exist slightly out of time. When they arrived, the hotel loomed above the valley like a memory that had never aged. Inside, the marble floors and gold trim gleamed under soft chandeliers, and though everything was perfect, there was something about the air that felt older than it should. After check-in, everyone went to their rooms to unpack. Holly's corner suite overlooked the mountains, but while putting things away, her hand brushed the wall behind a dresser. Cold, hollow, and just wrong. She tapped once, twice, a little harder, until the sound changed, followed by a faint sliding noise from the other side. A thin crack appeared in the panel, revealing darkness behind it, and she knew immediately it was a hidden room. Though before she could explore further, it was time to meet everyone downstairs. Down the hall, Karen brushed her hair in the mirror with a silver brush the hotel had provided. As she combed through, the handle darkened to a dull gold etched with strange symbols, then returned to normal as soon as she blinked. Feeling uneasy, she set it down and left. The group gathered in the ballroom, planning the dinner and dance, surrounded by vintage chandeliers that flickered like breathing light. When the plans were done, they went to get dressed for the night in costume and in long gowns and suits. And Holly, unable to resist, walked in her room and pushed open the wall once again. Behind it was a pristine bedroom untouched by time, its wallpaper slightly different, its air thick with a scent of rose water. On the bed lay an envelope with her name, Holly, and a dried rose that was falling apart. The letter inside was dated 1902. My dearest Holly, I waited for you. Where are you? You once promised to return. The years have been kind to no one, but my heart has remained where yours once was. Should you return, follow the music. I will be waiting. Mitchell. That night's dinner was lavish but strange. The chandeliers burned lower than before, the wait staff moving too quickly, their shoes never making a sound. Rod looked sharp in a tuxedo, bow tie slightly askew, his mustache curled at the ends, while Ed matched him in elegance beside Terry, who glowed in deep sapphire satin. Holly, in a long, flowing white gown, smiled faintly, trying to hide the nervous flutter in her chest. Her mind still on that letter. Around her, Sherry in a red velvet, wine-colored dress, Jess in a pale pink satin, Karen and Lisa shimmering in beaded gowns under the candlelight, Mary in black satin. Everyone looked beautiful, but something was off. The lights dimmed without anyone touching them. The hum in the air deepened. After dinner, a twin birthday cake was brought out for Holly and Rod, and everyone clapped as they blew out the candles. Then the music began, a slow waltz, hauntingly sweet. The group moved to the floor, dancing, laughing, trying to enjoy the night, until Holly's gaze fell on the massive mirror lining on the wall. The reflection rippled like water, mist swirling inside until the image of the room disappeared. The chandeliers flickered and the music warped into something much older. The carpet beneath their feet changed to marble. The tables became draped in lace and gold-rimmed china. The waiters now wore tailcoats and gloves, gliding like ghosts. Mary gasped and dropped her teacup. It shattered, echoing through the room. The world had transformed before their eyes. Everyone's clothes had changed. Sherry's jewelry turned real. Ed's cufflinks vanished. Sarah's dress was heavy with fabric she'd never seen. Then the mirror pulsed, and a man stepped out of it. Tall and poised, with half his face hidden behind a mask. He walked right over straight to Holly, his gloved hand extended, and though their breath caught, she took it. The moment their fingers touched, a chill moved through her, electric, yet familiar. He only smiled and began to dance them around the room, and it was like it shimmered between centuries. The music bending, candles flickering, voices whispering from nowhere. Duska heard her name from the shadows, just saw her own reflection blink, and then didn't. And on the table beside the champagne, Karen's golden brush appeared once more, gleaming gold. The dance had ended, and Mitchell stepped away, disappearing into the mist of the mirror. The lights went out. When they came back on, the ballroom was coated in dust and cobwebs. The chandeliers cracked, the mirror dull and lifeless. The group ran to their rooms in a panic, finding their luggage aged, their clothes antique, their furniture rearranged. Rod and his daughter April stood staring at the painting on the wall. It was a ballroom scene showing both of them exactly as they had looked that night. Then they took off running as downstairs faint piano music drifted from the grand room where Mike sat alone, creating and playing a tune he didn't know. The reflection on the piano lid showing an older man in the same tuxedo. In a shared room, Sarah, Tiffany, and Cindy packed quickly, but when Tiffany closed her suitcase, it latched itself. The mirror above the dresser fogged, and in it appeared the words written backward, "You promised you'd come back." They ran terrified. Holly, still in her room, whispered Mitchell's name into the silence, but got no answer. The group reunited in the grand room, desperate to leave. Lisa noticed something glinting on the floor, a delicate necklace that said Holly with a diamond pendant. "Holly," she said, "is this yours?" It was the necklace from the photograph from the wedding. Holly clasped it around her neck, feeling a wave of cold air sweep through her. When they reached the foyer, everything shifted again. The lights brightened, the sounds of modern life returned. They were back, or so they thought. Behind the front desk hung a massive black and white photograph framed in gold. Everyone stopped dead. It was a wedding portrait, over a century old, and every face in it was theirs. Rod, April, Sherry, Terry, Ed, Lisa, Duska, Amanda, Karen, Tiffany, Sarah, Cindy, Gail, Sue, Mike, and Holly. They all gathered behind the bride and the groom, Holly and Mitchell. The clerk stepped out from behind the counter wearing a modern suit and a name tag that read, Mitchell. He smiled. "Checking out?" he asked pleasantly, then paused, his eyes locking on Holly's. "Have we met before?" She swallowed. "Not in this lifetime," she whispered. Each person gathered their luggage, shaken, but ready to leave. They spoke in low voices, trying to make sense of it all. Each one believing that they could just get to the train. They'd finally wake up from whatever this was. One by one, they stepped through the heavy front doors of the Queechy Hotel, out onto the wide stone stoop beneath the gray sky. But as each foot crossed the threshold, they vanished. No sound, no scream, just gone. Like ghosts slipping back into a story, one that was never, ever finished. The figures in the photograph began to fade until only Mitchell and Holly remained, smiling hand in hand. Mitchell lingered by the desk, glancing back at the photo. For just a second, his reflection merged with the groom's face, the gold wedding band on his hand glinting under the chandelier, engraved with the year 1902. A faint piano medley played from nowhere as he reached out, fingertips brushing the glass and the inside of the photo. Holly smiled back before the light went out. Days later, Mike and Sue stayed behind to look for them and finally gathered their luggage so they could mail it home to everyone's families. Mitchell was still behind the desk, polite and calm, as if nothing strange had ever happened. "There's also a box here," he said, sliding it across the counter. "It's for Holly, or was for Holly." They took it with them on the train ride home. Sitting quietly as the countryside blurred past, the rhythmic clatter of wheels on the tracks sounded almost like piano notes. Back home, they let the box sit for a day before opening it, still trying to adjust their minds around what had just happened. Inside were small things: a dried-out crumpled rose, a lace handkerchief, a folded place card with Holly's name, and at the very bottom, a reel of old film wrapped in tissue. Over the days, Mike found an antique movie projector, threaded the film through, and turned off the lights. The wall filled with a soft flickering glow. It was Holly and Mitchell's wedding. The Queechy Hotel shone with candles and lace. It was filled with the laughter of every friend: Rod, April, Sherry, Mary, Terry, Ed, Karen, Lisa, Tiffany, Sarah, Cindy, Duska, Amanda, and Gail, all smiling and dancing alive. But as the music played, the laughter warped, slowing until Rod stepped toward the camera, looking directly through the screen as if he was there. His voice was low and steady. "This chapter will keep repeating itself until you two come back with us." The film sputtered, burned, and went dark. A folded newspaper clipping slipped from the box, yellow and brittle, dated November 2nd, 1902. The headline read, "Tragic Fire Destroys Historic Queechy Hotel. Dozens perish in midnight blaze following a wedding celebration. Flames said to have begun when candles ignited lace drapes and tablecloths. No survivors were found." The projector stopped, but the reel twitched once more, the bulb flickering to life even though it was unplugged. One final image filled the wall. The ballroom engulfed in fire, the same faces frozen in smoke. Holly and Mitchell turned toward the camera, their smiles calm and timeless. And as the picture burned away into the darkness, faint piano music began to play once more from somewhere deep inside the house.